Hello everybody and welcome to One Piece chapter 1013. The chapter title is a reference to this song right here, and we get a cool funny reference to Sanji versus Zoro in the cover page. At one point Oda was asked if each of the Straw Hats were an animal, what animal would they be? And so his first response was that Zoro would be a shark. And so here's the list of the Straw Hats along with their animal resemblance. The chapter picks up immediately from where we left it last week. We knew that the attack by Nami wasn't going to be enough to take down Ulti because she did mention that she would be needing stronger lightning to do that. So the power gap between Ulti and Nami is pretty significant, as mentioned by one of the gifters. And the gifter's head is at the end of an elephant trunk. So Oda just doesn't care. Like, I can bet that each time he sits down to design a gifter, he probably thinks like, okay, what is the weirdest, most ridiculous thing that I can come up with animal-human combination-wise? Then Nami tries to hit Ulti with a tornado tempo, and Ulti just kind of speed blitzes out of the way. And what's interesting about this technique is that it was first shown in the anime. It wasn't really shown in the manga before, so up until this point, this was a non-canon attack from Nami. So it's one of those situations where something that is shown in the anime that is first considered to be non-canon, later on becomes canon. And in the same episode, Usopp uses an attack called Atlas Comet, so that attack might become canon for him as well if he uses it in the manga. Like I said, Ulti dodges the attack and then grabs Nami the exact same way that she grabbed Luffy when she was about to use her attack called Ulti Meteor, and then Luffy was about to use Gear Force on her, but then Yamato came in and took out Ulti with the Thunder Bagua. So in this case, it's not Yamato, it's actually Big Mom, and she does this by combining Prometheus, Napoleon, and Hera into one giant mechanical laser beam shooting artifact. And it's supposed to be a reference to a type of weapon that was used in the Godzilla movies. Reminds me a lot of Star Wars as well. And we know that George Lucas took a lot of inspiration from Japanese media and included it into his movies, into his Star Wars films. Like, for example, Darth Vader's helmet. The design of his helmet is based off of the Japanese samurai helmet. So the attack goes right through Ulti, and it doesn't just hit Ulti, it actually hits some of the Beast Pirates behind her as well. There's this big explosion, you can see them getting hit, the homies are celebrating, and apparently the attack also managed to push Ulti out of her hybrid form. Because in the panel where we see her with wide eyes, I no longer see the spikes around her forehead.
I'm trying to figure out which Big Mom attack was worse, whether it was the Advanced Conqueror's Hockey Punch that she landed on page 1, or this laser cannon that essentially ended up piercing Ulti. I think the cannon probably dealt the most damage, right? Because it went through Ulti. And last chapter, like page 1 still isn't up, but we saw him twitching. Whereas Ulti here, she's completely wide-eyed and motionless. So yeah, I think maybe the cannon ended up dealing more damage out of the two attacks. I really liked the way the panel where Nami uses her attack is framed, because it kind of gives her that Marilyn Monroe vibe with the attack. I think it's kind of obvious that the reason behind Big Mom attacking Ulti in page 1 is to make their defeat a lot more believable at the hands of Nami and Usopp. I think like Oda pretty much realized, yeah, I can't really have Nami and Usopp just straight up defeat these two potentially awakened prehistoric, devil fruit users. So I'm going to have Yonko Big Mom come in there first and have her deal some damage. And then after that, it'll just be a lot more believable if Nami and Usopp take them out. Usopp has Tama and they start running away, leaving Kumachio injured in the background because they can't really do anything to help him right now. Nami spots Zeus in the distance, just sort of stuck there with some feelings of inadequacy because he's in the middle of being replaced. And then Nami just sort of ignores him and just runs along because Zeus betrayed her. And then Big Mom eventually fires Zeus. She tells him, "You're no longer needed here, Zeus. Actually, no, you are needed here to die."
It's interesting to me that in this chapter there are two very clear references to fear of being abandoned, and they're both coming from Big Mom in a way. The first one comes from Zeus when he tells Nami, yeah, I understand, I get it, like he's crying and he says like, now it's my turn to be discarded or abandoned. And so it's important to remember that Zeus is representing a part of Big Mom's soul. And then when Big Mom sees that Tama is leaving with the Straw Hats, she gets really upset and says like, I hate people who leave me, I hate people who abandon and desert me. So that's just pretty much like a reference to her childhood, right? Because her parents straight up abandoned her. And then later on, then she ended up eating her friends, and then she also felt that she was being abandoned as well. And so the fear of abandonment is one of those themes that has to be addressed at some point in order for Big Mom's character arc to conclude. And then we also have that theme of inherited will when it comes to Zeus, because he essentially dies, trying to be defiant. And he's not successful, but his will is set because he's pretty determined about wanting to show Nami some appreciation and wanting to protect her. So because Hera ends up eating Zeus, even though Big Mom says that that's going to make Hera stronger, I also think that by eating Zeus, Hera is going to end up inheriting that part of Zeus's will that is very protective about Nami. So Hera might become friendly towards Nami because of eating Zeus. And then also, because Prometheus has a crush on Hera, I definitely don't see him getting in the way of that anymore. I think Prometheus is going to start acting a lot nicer if he wants to please Hera and stay on her good side.
In the official translation, Big Mom tells Zeus that he will become Hera's newfound strength. So I do think that, Hera's going to be inheriting a bit of Zeus's personality. And then I love the panel where Big Mom just kind of leans into Usopp's panel and she's like, "Hey, Tama." She ends up taking Tama away because she's about to attack the Straw Hats and she doesn't want Tama to get hurt. So Big Mom grabs Tama like a little chicken nugget, and then she's about to attack Nami and Usopp, and all of a sudden Zeus is like having this character development moment where he's like giving this pretty long speech about how he's changed or how he's about to do something that he's never done before. Like at first it seemed like he was going to do something pretty intense to help Nami and Usopp, but then Big Mom shows up from behind and she's like, "Bloop," and just squashes him, kills him, and feeds him to Hera. And again, there's so much panel time dedicated to Zeus's change of heart that, like, if this doesn't play a role in the future, then this panel or these panels are essentially wasted panels. So again, even though Zeus is gone, I definitely see his will finding a way of living through Hera or within Hera to help Nami out. Because if Zeus is actually 100% gone, then none of these panels that he just had actually matter for anything in the story. So yeah, Hera gets a power up by eating Zeus. Tama then tells Nami and Usopp that they have to run, and this angers Big Mom because again, she doesn't like being abandoned. So she lights up her sword. I think the attack is called Cognac, right? So she's about to hit them with Cognac, and all of a sudden, gotcha! In my mind, I heard the cling sound effect when I was reading that panel. I also started thinking about, like, what would happen if Kid decided to take control of Napoleon? Like, if you had this tug-of-war scenario with each of them pulling, right? Which force would win out? What's stronger, Kid's electromagnetism or Big Mom's soul power, or Napoleon's allegiance to Big Mom's soul? Probably Big Mom's soul, right? It was still a pretty cool entrance though, with Kid showing up and blocking the attack and then going, "Punk Gibson!"
And so this is the attack that we first saw Kid use against Apu when they first reunited. And of course we see that Big Mom just kind of shakes it off. And last week I was like, wait a minute, where is Kid? I think Kid is missing from this action, from this scene here. I actually made the prediction based on last week's cover page that he was probably busy collecting scraps of metal in order to be battle ready. And it turns out that that was pretty accurate. The reason why he arrived a little bit later was because he was busy collecting garbage. And I really dug the panel there of Nami and Usopp crying tears of joy, going like, "Arigato, Kid Senpai."
We know that Law is on his way to fight Big Mom as well, and then Tama previously mentioned that she wanted to get to the main floor, or to the live stage, right? The performance floor, to give this announcement to all of the gifters that she had taken control over. So that's where Tama, Nami, and Usopp are headed, to the performance floor, where Chopper and Marco and where Sanji and Zoro are headed as well. I'm actually kind of curious as to what Ulti and Page 1 are going to decide after they get back up. Like, are they going to continue to chase Usopp and Nami, or are they going to stay there and fight Big Mom with Law and Kid? Because in the previous chapter, there's this scene where Nami says to Ulti, like she's talking about Big Mom, Nami is talking about Big Mom, and she tells Ulti, "Ulti, get her, girl. Come on, let's take out Big Mom together." And then Ulti says, "Shut up. After I deal with that old hag, you're next." So it kind of makes it seem as if Ulti's priority is taking down Big Mom. So it could be, instead of a 2v1 with Law and Kid, this could actually turn into a 4v1 with Law, Kid, Page 1, and Ulti against Big Mom as well. Ultimately, though, I do think that Oda is going to leave it up to Luffy to be the one to take down Big Mom. There's just so much foreshadowing to that happening, and there are some plot points as well as character subplots that need to be addressed before Big Mom falls. The first one I can think of is about Big Mom not being aware that she ate her childhood friends and Mother Caramel, but there was a giant who actually witnessed her eating them. The narrator said that there was only 2 people who saw that happen. One of them was Struzan, who hasn't told Big Mom anything, and then the other one was that giant. And eventually that giant went back to Elbaf, and so now the giants know that Big Mom ate those kids and Mother Caramel. So Big Mom has to be confronted. She has to become aware of what she did back when she was little. Her character can't really be defeated until that happens. There's also that scene with Luffy during the tea party where he tells Big Mom, "After I defeat Kaido, you're next." And then there's also that whole scene between him and Katakuri where Katakuri asks him, "Are you going to come back one day to take down Big Mom?" And Luffy says, "Yes, because I'm going to be the king of the pirates." And then this is what Katakuri responds to that. So yeah, I'm really curious to see how Oda's going to balance the notion of Luffy being the one to take her down, but then also giving Kid and Law something to do against her in this arc.
We turn the page and we see Luffy falling away from Onigashima. And my first thought was, Momonosuke has said that he can pretty much sense what's been going on in the rooftop, right? Like last chapter he said, there's only 2 voices left on the rooftop. So if he can sense Luffy falling, he could turn into a dragon and fly and catch him. We also know that Yamato was headed towards the roof as well, and there's been a lot of speculation about Yamato being a Devil Fruit user, so if she has like a flying Zoan type power, she can use that to catch and rescue Luffy as well. So Yamato can catch Luffy, bring him back to the rooftop again, and then that would be a perfect segue, a perfect way to lead into Yamato confronting Kaido. And so that could be the start of us getting the Kaido flashback that we so desperately need in order for his character to be fleshed out a little bit more. I mean, because by the end of the chapter you can see that he's already in a very vulnerable position anyway, and a lot of flashbacks in shonen are meant for the reader to begin to empathize with the character whose memory we're going into, so it could be the beginning of that here with Kaido. And I was really happy that this was the last page of the chapter. I think it's the best page, the best part of the chapter. It's like the perfect cliffhanger because it leaves so much stuff up to the reader's imagination. Like, is Oda gonna use Luffy's defeat as an opportunity to end the act, like he did in Act 1? Are the curtains gonna close after this and we're gonna get to see what's been going on with the rest of the world? In 2019, Oda said that after he had shown us Kozuki Oden's adventures, that there would be a focus on Sabo, Vivi, and Hancock. And of course, that didn't happen in 2020. And then in his 2020 statement, Oda said that Shanks would begin to make his move. So in order for us to get an update on Sabo, Vivi, Hancock, and Shanks, that would require us to leave Wano for a bit. So I hope this means that we're shifting over to the rest of the world very soon. Another thing is that it's just super intentional that Oda doesn't show us how Luffy got defeated this time around. If you're keeping count, Luffy has now lost to Kaido 4 times. First time he got one-shotted with the Raime Hake, Thunder Bagua. Second time his Gear 4th ran out, and his friends had to buy him a 10-minute break so that he could recoup. The third time he got hit by Ragnarok, and that left him unconscious. And then this time we don't know what happened. But we do see that Kaido is out of hybrid form. He's sort of crying in his normal human form now, which to me gets me to think that Kaido must have an even stronger mode than just hybrid form. So maybe Kaido has like a final form that is just super disgusting, and he used it to finish Luffy off here, and then reverted back into his human form. And the reason Oda didn't show it here is because he doesn't want to ruin the surprise for the final climactic battle of the arc. And if Kaido has a new form that we haven't seen, that also pretty much confirms that Luffy will be needing a new mode to match it. So by Luffy getting defeated here, Oda just pretty much confirmed that Luffy's going to be needing either Awakening or Gear 5th. So we should be seeing one of those 2 things, or both, at the final round. And speaking of Awakening, I did think for a moment, do you guys think that maybe it's possible that the Luffy that we're seeing falling down isn't really Luffy, but that it's actually a rubber clone? Like, you know how like with Doflamingo, he was awakened, and he could create a string clone for himself. So maybe that was a fake Luffy, and real Luffy is secretly in hiding right now, waiting to catch Kaido off guard. So maybe Luffy already used Awakening off screen or something. Another thing here is that we don't really know where Luffy is falling to. I think the assumption here, the first assumption is that he's falling into the water, but that could also not be the case, because maybe Onigashima is already flying above Wano. So maybe Luffy is dropping into Amigasa village, and he's gonna meet up with Tenguyama Hitetsu again, aka Odin's father, because they both have the same voice actor. He could also fall in Ringo and get to meet Onimaru, or he could land near the area where Mount Fuji is, and we can end up learning more about that mountain, which is one of the few places in Wano that we don't know much about. It'd be kind of cool if he drops down and he ends up finding a road poneglyph down there. Another thing here is that since we know that Luffy has to get back up and actually fight Kaido again, I think this also pretty much confirms that Zoro will also be able to heal, get back up again, and get a fight for himself. Cause Zoro got taken out before Luffy did. So if Luffy's gonna have time to heal up, regain his haki, and bounce back into action, then Zoro should be able to do the same thing. Because not only did Zoro get taken out earlier than Luffy, but also Zoro is already in the process of healing. All he would need would be some temporary aid from Chopper and Marco, and he should be back up again.
It's just the way that Oda handles the Luffy and Zoro dynamic. Like, he has Zoro look cool one moment, and then after that, he's like, oh, but Luffy's over here. You know, it's like, boop, boop. Zoro is going to heal up and come back first. Luffy's gonna heal and come back later. It's just the way he does it. It could also be interesting if, like, Luffy finds a way to save himself before he falls, right? Like, let's say that he activates Awakening and he's able to rubberize the air, right? Create a sort of trampoline to shoot himself back up onto the island. And then also Luffy not being on the island kind of puts him in this unique position in a way, because if he's not on the island, then that means that he could actually do something to stop the island from crashing down into the flower capital. Like, you know how, like, in Fishman Island, Luffy started punching the Noah to destroy it, right? So that it wouldn't crush the citizens. So if Luffy gets Awakening, maybe he can do something to stop the island from crashing down by turning the ground to rubber, or maybe he turns the entire island into rubber and it just bounces off the ground once it does hit. Because I feel like before this is all said and done, Oda's going to want to do something to show that Luffy is better than Kaido. And since Kaido is currently responsible for lifting the entire island of Onigashima, right, for carrying Onigashima in the sky, I think that one of the things that Oda can do is to have Luffy say, well, he might be able to carry it, but I'm going to turn the entire thing into rubber. I'm going to turn it into a balloon, into an inflatable ball, or something crazy like that, just to show that Luffy is in fact top tier. Because Luffy still has to win over some of the citizens of Wano, and so him being away from the island positions him to be the hero, right? To be the guy who stopped the island from crashing down and killing a bunch of people. And so the people will be like, oh, that's the guy who saved us. So he's our hero now, and everybody likes him. You know, the standard One Piece stuff. Kaido's speech in that last page is very interesting because he talks about how, like, one of the characteristics of human beings is that they can't give up hope. And, you know, if we go back to Kaido's introduction, he was introduced as somebody who wanted to die. Somebody who had already sort of renounced hope a very long time ago. So I've always been kind of curious as to what could have happened to Kaido in the past to get him to be hopeless. Like, does it involve rocks? Does it involve Yamato? Does it involve Yamato's mom? Does it involve all three of those characters? In the official translation, Kaido tells Luffy, you gained a powerful weapon and let it go to your head. And so, even though in that scene he's referring to Luffy's Advanced Conqueror's haki, right? Luffy's ability to weaponize his King's haki, it kind of gets me to think, like, wait a minute, did Rox have a powerful weapon? Because we know that Rox was looking into the taboo subjects, right? The forbidden subjects by the world government. Rox was very interested in that. So that line that Kaido has about Luffy getting a weapon and then getting carried away with it, it's a reference to Luffy, but it also got me to think, wait a minute, did Rox get his hands on one of the ancient weapons? And did he get carried away with it? Is that also one of the reasons for why Garp and Roger had to get involved in God's Valley? Is that why Kaido doesn't end up killing Luffy in this chapter? Aside from the fact that Luffy is the main character, right? But he does say, like, I should have just killed you. but he's like tearing up. He's like really, really upset. So I'm like, did Luffy remind him of his previous captain? And that's why he was merciful? Is that why he showed mercy? Because he was so upset about Luffy reminding him of rocks? Because remember, right? We know from Strong World that one of the reasons for why Shiki, who used to be in the Rocks Pirates, one of the reasons for why he wanted to join forces with Roger is because Shiki knew that Roger had knowledge about an ancient weapon. So it could be that Rocks had knowledge about an ancient weapon. He knew how to get his hands on it or something, how to control it. But then after Rocks was defeated in God's Valley, Shiki was like, well, I guess I'm gonna go with Roger now, because it seems like Roger also has knowledge or knows how to get his hands on an ancient weapon. And so that's why he sort of decided to tell Roger, like, we should join forces. And in fact, this also supports the quote that we heard from Kaido saying that, like, once you lose, the pirates that you thought were your friends will abandon you, will change sides, they will betray you. Because he kind of saw that with Shiki wanting to work with Roger after Rocks' defeat. I think the best part about this ending, though, is that it definitely lets you know why Kaido is known as the strongest creature and the strongest pirate. It's because even after Luffy trained in Udon, tried to master Rio, actually got a power-up with being able to weaponize his King's Haki, Kaido was still able to knock him out cold and be successful. Like, if Luffy wasn't the main character of this story, he would be dead right now. So Kaido's title of him being the strongest pirate still holds true. Like, he still reigns supreme as the strongest pirate. And even if Luffy gets back up and actually ends up defeating him eventually, you have to remember that Kaido, even before this point, Kaido has already fought the Scabbards, the 9 Red Scabbards, plus he's fought the Supernova. After that, Luffy got the King's Haki boost, and I said back in chapter 10:10 that that wasn't going to be enough, because even though it's like a new technique that he can use to actually damage Kaido, Kaido has a lot more experience in using King's Haki to combat people. So Luffy's still kind of a noob in that regard. He needs more time to get used to the Conqueror's Haki infusion application. So again, whatever method or form Kaido used to take out Luffy off screen, whether it's awakening, whether it's a brand new form that we haven't seen before that surpasses the limits of hybrid form, this is why Kaido is known as the strongest creature. This is the strongest pirate in One Piece. To the point where even if Luffy defeats Kaido in the future, that still would not make him stronger than Kaido, because Kaido has already taken damage from a whole bunch of different sources. Plus, Kaido could have killed Luffy in this very chapter. So yeah, I thought that was a great final page. Overall, I thought the chapter was good. I like how Oda is sort of beginning to flesh out Kaido and Big Mom a little bit. It's kind of like indirectly sort of like fleshing them out because of the comments. Like, you have to be able to read in between the lines, right? With the dialogues that they have, and kind of look at, okay, what does this say about their character and what does that mean for them moving forward? So I like that it's not super explicit, but you can tell that the wheels, are turning towards like them getting some character development. And in Kaido's case, more so than in Big Mom's case, some character resolution. Because both Big Mom and Kaido need closure. And I see Kaido getting his closure a lot sooner than Big Mom getting it. So closure about what? I don't know. What was the thing that really affected him? What kind of like experience did he have in the past that he's still carrying with him today? We'll find out soon enough. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Thank you so much for your support and supportive comments last week. And not just last week, but just in general. Thanks a bunch for your support. Take care. Have a good week. And I'll catch you guys later. Bye.